Welcome to a brand new rating climb where I'm going to be playing against the chess.com bots, starting with Martin at 250 and working my way up to probably the advanced bots. Basically, the way this is going to work is I'm going to be talking through my thought process. I'm going to be giving you guys opportunities to pause and think through things. Make sure you do that. That's going to be the best way to learn. Whatever your rating level is, I recommend watching all the way through. But let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I'm thinking about when Martin plays bishop c4 is what? Well, what's he attacking? And I don't want to get checkmated in 4 moves. So I'm starting to plan now for the follow-up, and I don't know if Martin is going to do this, but I want to make sure that I'm prepared if he does try to 4-move checkmate me. And there are a couple of ways that you can do it, but in this particular situation, my favorite is to just go knight f6 and just immediately stop the queen from going there. And even if he goes here, it's already blocked off. I don't have to worry. Okay, so he's developing his pieces, doing a pretty good job. There is a tactic here where we can actually take this pawn, and when he takes back, we play d5. And it actually, in most cases, is one of the better variations for black because you get both of your bishops out right away. You get nice control over the center. And I'm going to go ahead and do it. And there is bishop takes f7, but we can just take, and that's actually another okay line for us. Ooh, Martin's actually playing, yeah, the Frankenstein Dracula variation. This is very surprising. I did not expect this. So this is a legitimate line. And basically his point is if I take the knight, he's going to checkmate me. I can't believe I'm saying this. Like Martin actually has a point behind his moves. But yeah, this is a good move. So the main line here, if let me think about this. I believe it's knight to d6. And what we're doing is defending, also attacking here. Although, hold on a second. There's also, no, yeah, it's got to be knight to d6, right? So yeah, let's play knight to d6, defending the checkmate. I'm super surprised that Martin just played that. Okay, now he breaks off. But that was, yeah, that was something else. And I think there's like knight b5 is the move here. And the point is if I take, I still get checkmate. And it actually gets very, very tricky. So that was fascinating. All right, so what did my last move do? Well, I defended here and I attacked the bishop. So what should I be thinking about right now? Well, the answer is, can I take the bishop? I mean, it's a free bishop unless something happens, but there's no more checkmate once the bishop is gone. So that looks like a free piece to me. It also defends my pawn. And so every which way I look at it, I'm going to take it. Now, maybe there's knight to g5 to attack me again, but I would be able to defend, maybe bring the knight back or something like that. Okay, he goes queen g4. So the first thing I want to do, what is he attacking? Am I worried about that? No. Am I worried about that? Yes, actually I am. Am I worried about this? No. So I want to defend or move my knight. Could I do something that accomplishes multiple things at the same time? This is one of the best questions that you can ask yourself when you're first starting out. Can you accomplish multiple things at the same time? What do you guys think? Well, the answer is yes. If I play the move d5, I am defending my knight. I'm also getting 2 pawns in the center, which is good. And actually a third thing, I'm creating a very sneaky attack on the queen. So this is a fantastic move here, d5. That's what we're going to play. We solve all of our problems. We get the center. He did notice the attack on the queen. But let me look at the center. I'm very happy with this. So now what am I thinking about? Was this move a blunder? I don't think so. I don't have any forks or anything crazy to win the queen. So what am I going to do? Probably develop some pieces. I just want to make sure. Am I okay here? Yes. But maybe this knight's going to get chased away. So I think I'm pretty happy with knight to c6. It's the developing move, also adds a defender, and I'm getting ready for whatever Martin might play. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Obviously, that's not the way that pieces are supposed to move. You don't want to bring them out and just bring them back for no reason. So again, probably just going to develop a piece. I am scanning for if there are any more powerful moves, but I don't think so. So I'm just going to go ahead with this bishop. Notice I'm not just giving up that pawn for free at the moment, although now I'm much more likely to want to sacrifice this. Why? Because I can use this file to attack the king once I'm ready. And so what do I mean once I'm ready? Well, I'm probably going to bring my queen up in castle, and then I'm ready to move my bishop, sacrifice the pawn. If Martin wants to take it, I'm happy because I'm going to attack over here. Okay, so again, just scanning. Does this move affect me at all? Not really. I'm just going to continue with a nice, simple move and get ready to castle. Okay, he plays a4. You might say, oh no, he's going to attack me. I don't really care because even if he comes down here, I have a lot of pieces. I have a lot of options and things that I can do. And I really want to get this bishop out and be able to go here if I need to. Okay, rook to d1. What's he doing? Is he threatening anything? I don't think so. So now I'm ready. I'm going to bring my bishop out. The question is, where should I bring it to? I think here and here both look pretty good. They're both lined up in the direction that I would like to attack. And so either one could be fine. I'm just going to go ahead and go with this one. directly line up on the queen. We already talked. Yeah, perfect. He's going right for it. So what am I going to do? I think I'm just going to slide the rook over here. And I'm happy because I'm gaining a tempo. I'm happy because I'm attacking the king. And I'm not worried about this pawn. I don't care at all if he's... In fact, I would be happy if Martin takes that because then I have two open files. I could even use both rooks. And so I'm going to use this rook. Not, like I said, not even worried about that. And, okay, what did this move change about the position is the first question that I'm going to ask myself. And that should lead you guys to come up with a particular move here. So what move should I play? Well, if you had a chance to look at that, this move is actually pinning the G2 pawn, which means it's no longer defending this knight. So 1, 2, only one defending, that's a free piece, right? And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that. Very straightforward. Don't even really need to think about much else. That seems like a very good move. Okay. As soon as a pawn moves in front of your opponent's king, what should you be asking yourself? Well, what weaknesses does that move create? Well, all of these light squares are targets now, and I'm thinking about going like this and just checkmating the king. That just seems like the easiest thing to do. I'm also thinking about bringing my knight in and maybe checkmating or forking or something. So which one looks more powerful? Well, queen g4, now that I'm looking at it, not only am I threatening this, I'm also immediately threatening the rook. And I don't really see how white's going to stop that. So I think that's what I'm going to go with. Now, I just noticed if I do this, the queen would take my bishop. So I'll have to figure out something there, but maybe I can chase the queen around or make it move. And so I think I'm still going to go forward here. Okay, he plays knight to c3. So now we have an interesting moment. What should I do? Well, I talked about this. I'm going to lose my bishop. He's defending the rook, but do I have a way to make the knight move? I think so, right? I think I can push this pawn. And once the knight is forced to move, I'm going to get the rook. And if the knight doesn't move, well, I'm going to get the knight. So that's pretty straightforward. Okay, let's think through this. Takes. Nothing is defending the rook. That looks like a great trade for me. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, wow. He takes the bishop. Of course, I could take here, but a queen is better. So let's go ahead, take the queen. Pretty straightforward on that one. Okay, and Martin's kind of falling apart. It's just a question of which move do I like better? Which piece would I rather have? Probably I'm going to bring the knight over and deliver checkmate. So I'm going to take this way with the idea that I can come here and there's a checkmate. Okay, he's going to sacrifice, which is fine. We'll take the rook. And again, you want to look for the weaknesses around the king. And I see here, if I could put a knight on one of these squares, that would basically lead to a checkmate. So knight to d4 coming in here looks pretty straightforward. And there you go. The final blow that we needed, there's the checkmate. Okay, so well played to Martin. I was actually very impressed with the opening. This is a legitimate opening that Martin played. And it's actually very interesting, the Frankenstein Dracula variation here. Like I said, Queen h5, I believe is the... Oh, I can't analyze right here. Queen h5, I believe, is the move, and then it gets super wild after knight d6, knight b5, and all kinds of fun stuff happen. I think I have a video on the channel. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump straight to the next bot. Wayne is also 250. Okay, and let's just put a pawn out there in the center to help fight for control. Okay, wow, we're getting a lot of the queen attacks here. So queen h5, the normal kind of best response would be knight to c6 because you're developing and you're defending at the same time. Remember, accomplishing multiple things at the same time. The other way you can play this, and this is what I prefer to do, and what I'm going to do here is actually turn it into a pawn sacrifice. This is called the kitty counter gambit. And you're giving up the pawn because you're going to get a bunch of pieces developed and white's wasting all this time moving the queen, right? So notice how I got two pieces. Now I'm going to get a third one with an attack on the queen. And so you just get so many pieces out that it's just turns out to be a pretty nice opening. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and castle because then I can start thinking about using the rook to line up on the king. So let's go ahead and do that straight away. And if he plays like e5 to attack our knight, yeah, I was actually going to play rook e8 and there's going to be some possibilities to win the queen there. So that's what I was planning, but he plays king d1. So, all right, what do we want to do? Well, basically, this is good. We just still need to finish our development. And, when you have a lead in development, you always want to be scanning for tactics. But sometimes, like in a position like this, there's just not really any tactics available. I mean, I do see some weaknesses here, but I don't think I can take advantage of that in a good way. I mean, yeah, I could try to move my knight and go there, but the reason it's not so great is it's pretty easy for white to deal with that. You can play a move like c3, just stop what I'm trying to do, and I don't really want to waste all my time going for that. So if you don't have anything, you keep improving your position, and the way that I'm going to do that is getting this bishop out. So my question is, do I want to go d5 or d6? And, generally you don't want to be blocking the bishops like this. So I am just going to strike with d5, gain a little bit more space. Okay, not a good move. He ignores my attack. So this is going to be a free pawn. It's just a question of which way do I want to take it? Or do I even want to go for a developing move like this? Again, though, is there an easy way for my opponent to deal with that? f3 looks pretty good, and then I have to move my bishop. So rather than waste my time doing that, I think I'm going to grab the pawn. I'm going to choose this way just to open up my queen a little bit more. But this also looks like a good move as well. Let's go ahead this way. g3, and Wayne's problem here is he's not developing his pieces. This is a big deal, right? You can't win chess games if you leave your pieces sitting on the back. So the other thing about this move, whenever you see a pawn move, you want to ask yourself, well, which squares are no longer defended? And if I look at this, I'm thinking, okay, this one and this one. What does that mean for me? Well, it means now this move bishop g4, which I looked at like a move ago, right? It was not as good, but now it's much better because now there's no f3. I mean, you can still play f3, but then I'm going to take it and you're going to be walking into this nasty pin. And it's just a much better version of this move for me. So that's exactly what I'm going to play. And how is Wayne going to deal with this? Yeah, he does go with f3, but like I said, I'm going to take it. And however he takes back, walks into a pin. Ooh, and he just gives me the queen. So I'm going to just take that. All right. And we're already ahead. So at this point, trading pieces becomes very attractive because if you trade when you're ahead, it gets closer to the end game where it's easier to win. Also, his king's not in a good spot. So if I can just find some kind of a checkmate, that would also be very good. I'm leaning towards queen to d5. Why? Because I want to use my rooks. And the queen's in the way for me putting a rook there. So I want to move it. But also on d5, I'm creating some other threats, things that white has to worry about. So that's the idea. Let's go queen to d5. Okay, so he moves the king. He doesn't deal with the immediate threat, and a free piece is a free piece. Usually you should take those. And again, a free piece is a free piece. Usually you should take those. So let's just keep taking the free pieces. And all right, now we don't have any free pieces, so let's continue with the plan. Rook to e8. Look at what I'm doing. Lining up on the king, getting ready to move this guy. And whenever you have a discovered check, that means you can move this bishop anywhere you want to create an attack on the king. You want to look for tactics, and there should be something that jumps out to you guys right away. What is it? If you had a chance to look at that, it's bishop to a3 check. So, of course, I can go there with check. Once the king moves, I'll just grab a free bishop. I could also go here, and the reason I'm considering this is because it's a double check, and if the king moves back to d1, there's a checkmate pattern where my rook could come down. What is I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but it doesn't really matter if you remember the names or not. It just matters if you can recognize the pattern, right? And this pattern is very common with a bishop and a rook on a king like that. Now, I could try to run away this way, but my queen is right there. It looks like that would also lead to checkmate. Actually, knight to g4 probably would do the trick right away. So what's better than a free bishop? Checkmate. So instead of going here, which is a great move, I'm going to go here with the double check, force the king to move, and we're going to have checkmate in a few moves. Okay, he does go here, which allows us to do this pattern. Like I mentioned, if he went here, we would have had knight to g4, which, yeah, was also checkmate. So here we go. And a good example of how knowing these checkmate patterns is very important, because then you're playing a game like this, and it's like, oh, wait a second. I've seen a bishop and a rook delivering a checkmate like this before. I wonder if I can do that here. And I could, right? So that's a good example of you learn the pattern separately, and then you play a game and you look for opportunities where they come up. All right? So let's do one more game for this video against Fabian, also 250 rated bot, and he's playing h4. So what am I going to do? Nothing. I'm just going to get my pawns in the center. I'm not going to worry about that. Just get my pawns in the center. I don't even care. Get 2 pawns in the center. Now he plays g3. Am I concerned? Not really. There's not an immediate weakness that I can take advantage of, but that's okay. I'm just going to develop my pieces, right? I'm going to go for the typical setup where you get both knights and both pawns in the center. Now, whenever you have 2 pawns in the center, and somebody brings a knight out, you always want to ask yourself the question, well, what happens if I attack the knight? And sometimes you can't, because maybe there's a pawn there, you can't push, or maybe there's a pawn here and then you would just get captured and then you need a queen trade, you don't want to do that. But if there's nothing going to stop your pawn, you always want to ask yourself that question. And a lot of times, and I think this is a situation that this applies, a lot of times it's very, very hard for the opponent to figure out where to move that knight to, okay? And we're going to see that right here. So that's why I'm going to play this instead of developing. I'm going to pause my development just for one moment, because notice how I had my knight controlling these important squares. I had my queen controlling here, and yes, he could have went to h5, but then or h4, but then it's kind of stuck on the side. Also h2, but that's really not a great square for the knight. And so I gained a bunch of space, and I kind of eliminated a good piece from the game by playing e4. So always think about it. It doesn't always work out, but when it does, you want to do it. Okay, the general rule is knights before bishops, so we're going to just continue with that, bringing out the piece. Okay, and remember, when we see a pawn move forward, always ask yourself, what squares did it leave behind? And wait a second, this one is no longer defended. Okay, that's a big deal. Why is that a big deal? Not just because it's an undefended pawn, because it's not defended here. It's not defended here because this pawn has already been moved, and it's lined up on the king. And this could potentially be checkmate. So what am I going to do about that? Probably going to play bishop d6 because it's a developing move. And it's also putting pressure on that incredibly weak spot, right? So let's go ahead. Bishop to d6. Again, accomplishing multiple things at the same time. I'm developing. I'm also attacking. Wow. He defends with the king. So now I'm thinking, okay, what are my options? Well, I could go for a sacrifice, right? If I want to lure the king out. Whenever you can lure the king to the third rank, or if you're playing as black, the 6th rank, that's always something you want to consider, because that's so far away from where the king is supposed to be, there might be some kind of a checkmate. So I'm definitely going to think about that. I'm also going to think about maybe just taking this pawn to attack it again like this. Maybe just castling and just continuing my development. Maybe I don't have to get crazy with it. But yeah, definitely thinking about this. Let's see, do we have a good follow-up? We could go check. If the king tries to run, we could go check again. Then over, let's say over here or here, we could go check, and the bishop blocks, and knight comes in. I mean, I don't see an immediate checkmate because I think the queen can defend now, but that actually is checkmate. Yeah, very, very good for us. So definitely think I want to do that. But I'm going to pause and actually think about what if I take here first, because that also looks really good, but then maybe the rook could defend. Yeah, still good for me, but I think I do want to go for that. So let's just, now I'm going to verify one more time and make sure I didn't forget about any lines. So takes, check with the knight. The king can't go here because of the bishop and the queen. Yeah, it has to go to one of these two squares. Now, if it goes to f2, this is what I looked at. That's where I'm very comfortable. What if it goes to g2? I think something like, yeah, queen h4 would still be threatening here if the queen can't go over. Yeah, so it's the knight moves. That's checkmate. So basically, I just wanted to verify I did find an extra line that I had missed, but now that I've calculated, it looks like it's going to be good. So with that being said, I'm ready to play the move. Here we go. Bishop takes g3, and this is why you don't... Oh, and he doesn't even take it. That's so sad. All right, well, I think we're going to win anyway. But so what do we do? Well, should we trade the bishop for the knight? The answer is no, right? When you're attacking, just a trade that doesn't really do anything for you is not what you want to do. Okay, there has to be a specific reason for trading, so we can rule that out right away. What about capturing here? That looks pretty good. Defends my bishop, threatens to come in here with the knight, and more importantly, unleashes my queen. That also looks very good. Let's see, we could trade here, but then what does that accomplish? Seems like, if anything, it opens up some of white's pieces, so I don't want to do that. Bringing another knight over, maybe? Okay. Developing this guy, I don't think I really want to sacrifice that. So yeah, I think knight h5, from everything that I've looked at, looks like the best move. Let's go ahead and do it. Really, I want to get my queen. And so, okay, it goes king g1. So again, let's just, basically you want to come up with a list of ideas of like, well, I might be able to do this or this or this. Once you have a list of like your top, 3 or 4 ideas, calculate them one by one and see which one's the best. And then that's what you play. So again, do I want to trade? No, not really. It helps the rook come into the game and doesn't really do much. Do I want to move my knight here? That's not bad, maybe. Do I want to bring my queen, let's just say here or here? Okay, I like bringing the queen in and lining up on the king. Now, I have to watch out for something like d3, But even there, I think I could go check, and that looks pretty good. So yeah, queen g5 looks amazing. Let's just verify. Are there any knight things that I need to worry about? No, I don't think so. We already talked about this. We're going to have options. Yeah, queen g5 looks like a great move. Let's go ahead and play it. Okay, and again, we have another discovered check on the king, and so I really want to think carefully, what are my best options with the bishop? So, of course, this one looks like, oh, it's a free knight. Is it checkmate because he can't move his king? No, he actually could move his king and take my bishop, but I do have a follow-up, queen to g3, which is checkmate. So, okay, that looks pretty good. What about bishop to f2? That's also checkmate. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like basically either of these moves leads to checkmate the next move. So I don't think it matters. You could choose either one. But the key thing here is like, you know, if your opponent's king is in trouble, you've got a queen, you've got some other pieces around it, you should be looking for checkmates. Like you just have to look. There's probably a checkmate somewhere. You need to be looking for it. And if you don't find a checkmate, then you would fall back to your fall back of like, well, let me just see if I can take some more pieces, right? But in this case, I do see a checkmate right away. And so we'll just do this one, take an extra piece while we're at it. And there we go. Queen g3 is checkmate, like I mentioned. This is another pattern that I've seen before. Whenever you have the queen attacking the king on a diagonal, if there are opponent's pieces on the straight squares away from the king, I don't know how to explain that. This is called, I want to say maybe the dovetail checkmate or something. It's always going to be checkmate. If the queen's defended and there's two pieces here in a knight move away, it's just always checkmate. And that's how I knew quickly that, oh, there's a checkmate, right? So anyway, good game, Fabian, and hopefully you guys understand the thought process. I'm going to end the video here. We'll pick up in part 2 where we'll keep going. We're going to go through, like I said, all the bots up to the advanced ones until I kind of start losing. But yeah, let me know if you guys like this, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, play smart, and take care.